CØRTIS debuted just over a month ago, yet they've already become one of the most talked about groups in K-pop. From plagiarism debates to viral moments that divided the internet, this rookie group has sparked more conversations than some acts manage in years. So what's really happening with CØRTIS? And why can't people stop talking about them? Long before CØRTIS ever stepped on stage, people were already paying attention. What caught everyone's eye wasn't just another boy group from big hit music, but the fact that two members had already left their mark on some of K-pop's biggest hits. James, who previously trained under the now disbanded Trainee A, contributed lyrics to TXT's Deja Vu and Miracle from the Name chapter, Tomorrow, plus IVE's viral track Magnetic. His groupmate Martin worked alongside him on all three songs, switching between writing and production roles. Martin's involvement didn't stop there either. His name shows up on TXT's Beautiful Stranger, Le Seraphim's Pierrot, and in Hypen's XO. What made this even more impressive was the timing. Both James and Martin were still teenagers when they helped create these chart-topping tracks, a fact that left many netizens genuinely amazed at how early they'd made their presence felt in the industry. Their skills were undeniable, the kind of talent that usually takes years to develop, but their credentials only made people watch them more closely. The group's lineup itself sparked immediate debate the moment it was revealed. James, the oldest, was born in 2005. Kyunho, the youngest, arrived in 2009. To many fans, especially Korean netizens, that felt far too young for the brutal pressure of idol life. Comment sections filled with people arguing they should have been given more time to grow up before being thrown into the spotlight. The concerns went beyond just age, though. People questioned the group's entire concept. CØRTIS presents themselves as carefree teenage boys who speak and act freely, but critics argued this image felt manufactured. They pointed out that behind the scenes, companies typically control how members behave, what they say, and how they present themselves to the public. The idea of creative freedom, they claimed, only exists within very strict boundaries. Sure, members might write some lyrics, but only if those lyrics fit the concepts and themes already decided by the label. Everything else, from comeback schedules to the group's direction for the next few years, gets pre-planned by higher-ups. From this perspective, CØRTIS was being marketed as independent and free-spirited, when the reality might be quite different. One comment captured the sentiment perfectly, stating the team name literally means color outside the lines, making it obviously a concept rather than genuine rebellion. This marketing approach has become increasingly common with recent boy groups. People brought up Reese and Boy Next Door as examples, with some claiming Kickflip seemed to be following the same formula. The strategy apparently shifted from presenting idols as ideal boyfriends for female fans to making them look like the kind of guys other boys would want to befriend. Critics said it felt like these groups were trying too hard to copy Gen Z American teenagers just to grab attention from that demographic, with one user writing that they're portraying this image of Western freedom and it feels forced, because it doesn't come across as natural. Others pushed back against this criticism, though. They reminded everyone that calling any K-pop group manufactured isn't exactly groundbreaking, since the industry has always relied on careful planning and direction. CØRTIS had only just debuted, and like most rookies, they still seemed awkward and unsure of themselves on camera. Early on, companies typically keep a tighter hold with scripts and guidance because members are still nervous and clumsy. With time, though, groups usually loosen up, grow more confident, and their real personalities start showing through. Fans pointed to pre-debut clips of their singing as proof they'd been training seriously for years. Since the members are still young, experimenting with different images makes sense. Sometimes they lean into styles that feel more mature than their actual age, but that's just part of how teenagers figure themselves out. For many defenders, this didn't feel like a calculated company strategy, but more like a reflection of how today's youth actually express themselves. There's a difference between a group that feels hollow and artificial versus one that's been carefully shaped with genuine intention. What people see with CØRTIS isn't empty packaging, but thoughtful planning, and a concept that actually suits who the members are. While fans debated whether their image was real or constructed, another situation emerged that shifted the conversation entirely. Recently, an incident went viral involving the members allegedly being filmed backstage while changing clothes. Video footage appeared to show individuals recording through gaps in what looked like a tent or temporary changing area. In the clip, Martin seemed to notice something, his expression changing before he moved away from the area. The footage spread rapidly across social media, with fans expressing serious concern about privacy and safety measures for the group. Many pointed out that several members are still minors, with Kyunho being only 16 years old. Questions arose about what protection the company was providing and whether enough was being done to maintain boundaries. The incident sparked a broader conversation about privacy in K-pop, especially regarding younger idols who might be more vulnerable to these situations. Fans demanded better security measures and criticized anyone who would invade personal space in such an inappropriate way. The discussion highlighted ongoing issues within the industry about where lines should be drawn and how to protect artists who are still legally children. But that wasn't the only thing people were analyzing. Not long after their debut, netizens began discussing similarities between CØRTIS's music and established Western hip-hop tracks. When fashion dropped with its flashy music video, listeners immediately started pointing out what they heard as resemblances to A$AP Rocky's Praise the Lord. Some joked it felt like Travis Scott, Lil Uzi Vert, and A$AP Rocky had been combined into a K-pop package.
My pants below, create, explore, expand, concord.
The comparisons didn't stop with one song either. Other tracks in their discography drew similar observations from people familiar with the genre. Two distinct camps formed almost instantly. One side argued the similarities crossed the line from inspiration into copying, calling it lazy and uncreative. They felt particularly uncomfortable seeing Korean teenagers adopt a style and sound deeply rooted in Black American culture and experiences. To these critics, it felt like playing dress-up with a lifestyle and artistic expression that wasn't theirs to borrow, making the whole approach seem shallow. Some suggested the tracks wouldn't have been received nearly as well if they'd come from actual hip-hop artists, implying success had more to do with the group's idol image than musical merit. HYBE caught heat too, with people accusing the company of jumping on whatever trend seems hot at the moment, a criticism they've faced since nearly every group under their label debuted. The other side saw things completely differently. Defenders pointed out that CØRTIS openly works with Black artists, credits them properly in liner notes, and highlights their influence rather than hiding it. The group's documentary showed multiple Black creators involved in their work, with those names placed prominently at the front of the credits. Fans argued it's natural for the members to release music aligned with what they genuinely enjoy listening to, making their direction feel less like copying and more like leaning into sounds that resonate with them personally. This wasn't appropriation in their eyes, but collaboration and paying proper respect to the genre's roots. The debate continued back and forth, with neither side fully convincing the other. What remained clear was that the discussion around influence versus imitation in K-pop wasn't going away anytime soon, and CØRTIS had found themselves right in the center of it. Then came a moment that divided the internet even further. During a Music Core broadcast, the battle for first place came down to a tight competition between aespa with Richmond and NCT's Haechin with Crazy. When aespa's name was called as the winner, cameras caught Kyunho standing in the background behind the NCT member. In that split second, he appeared to purse his lips, an expression some viewers interpreted as disappointment or even disrespect toward aespa.
오늘의 1위는 네, 이번 주 1위 에스파입니다. 축하드립니다.
The clip spread like wildfire across Korean forums and international social media. Critics immediately jumped on it, arguing that as a rookie who barely debuted, he needed to be far more careful about how he carried himself on stage. They didn't stop at his expression either. Comments flooded in criticizing his appearance and height, with some saying it reflected poorly on both him and the entire group. One particularly harsh comment questioned whether he could even control his facial expression, calling the moment off-putting. The situation spiraled quickly as countless aespa fans began targeting CØRTIS and Kyunho specifically, turning what might have been a fleeting moment into a full-blown controversy that dominated conversations for days. Fans rushed to defend him though, insisting people were searching for any reason to attack the group. They posted screenshots and clips from vlogs and behind-the-scenes content showing Kyunho makes that exact same expression all the time, singling out one brief moment during a high-pressure live broadcast and claiming it was intentional disrespect felt not only unfair, but deliberately malicious. Others suggested he might have simply been surprised by how close the scores were. The idea that a 16-year-old would deliberately risk his barely started career to throw shade at a senior group he most likely admires seemed completely illogical to defenders. Why would he sabotage everything he'd worked for over a facial expression? They pointed out a bigger issue at play, one that goes beyond just this incident. K-pop fans often invent scenarios in their heads, attack idols based on those imagined narratives, and fuel a cycle of constant scrutiny that no group seems immune to. Rookies especially get targeted because they're easy to go after. They don't have established fan bases large enough to fight back effectively, making them vulnerable to pile-ons from bigger fandoms. The whole situation raised questions about whether the criticism was ever really about what Keonho did, or if people were simply looking for an outlet for competitive fan tensions. Through all the noise, debates, and viral moments, one thing became impossible to ignore. CØRTIS kept rising. Domestically, Go broke into Melon's top 100 real-time chart and climbed to number 117 on the daily chart, marking the highest position for any boy group debut song in 2025. On Spotify, they racked up 4.8 million monthly listeners, with Go hitting 14 million streams, What You Want reaching 10 million, and Fashion pulling in 9 million. Those numbers made them the top-performing rookie boy group of the year in terms of streaming. Their debut album moved an impressive 436,000 copies in just 1 week, and Go became the first song by a 2025 rookie boy group to claim #1 on Apple Music South Korea. Awards started coming in, recognition followed, and with each passing week, their presence in the industry grew stronger. The metrics painted a clear picture. Whatever people thought about their concept, their music, or individual moments caught on camera, the group was connecting with audiences in a real way. Every controversy seemed to add fuel rather than slow their momentum down. The pattern raised interesting questions about how attention works in modern K-pop, where being talked about, even negatively, often translates to visibility and growth. CØRTIS sits at an unusual crossroads right now. They have undeniable talent, proven by their pre-debut work and current success. They have youth on their side, with years ahead to develop and mature as artists. But they also face intense scrutiny that most rookies don't experience this early. The question isn't really whether they'll continue succeeding in the short term. The numbers already answer that. What remains to be seen is how this level of pressure affects them long term, especially considering how young some members still are. K-pop has a documented pattern of putting intense scrutiny on new groups, particularly those from major companies with high expectations attached. Some groups thrive under that pressure and use the attention to build lasting careers. Others struggle with the weight of constant judgment and the gap between public perception and private reality. CØRTIS is just beginning their journey, and whether the path ahead gets easier or more complicated depends on factors both within and outside their control. What their story reveals, though, goes beyond just one group. It reflects larger conversations happening in K-pop right now about age, authenticity, cultural exchange, and how much room exists for young artists to make mistakes and grow without having those moments define their entire careers.